Welcome back to Braintree Today. I'm Martha Konstandinidis and you're watching BCAM TV. Now we'll be getting into our latest stories from the week. New research into COVID-19 is suggesting that it may be tied to a greater risk of diabetes. Investigators at Cedars-Sinai Hospital analyzed the medical records of more than 23,000 patients who had COVID at least once and found they were at a 58% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. However, the risk of developing diabetes was diminished in those people who had been vaccinated against COVID by the time they were infected. The results suggest that COVID-19 infection could trigger the disease in people who may eventually develop it later in life, and that the vaccination could help protect against that disease acceleration. A new study on the effects of COVID-19 found that your immune system can provide good protection against symptomatic illness at almost 90% for at least 10 months after a COVID-19 infection. The risk of severe illness is even lower the next time you contract COVID. Researchers from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation COVID-19 forecasting team said their study found that immunity after COVID-19 infection seems strong for almost 10 months against all variants of the virus. Experts caution that protection from COVID-19 does not last forever, so even people who have this so-called natural immunity will probably still need an annual COVID-19 booster. While state and health officials are reporting a drop in virus cases, COVID-19 wastewater data in Boston has jumped following weeks of declining numbers. Data from the Boston Public Health Commission's wastewater surveillance program shows a 35% spike in the number of COVID particles in the city's wastewater. 7 out of the 11 Boston neighborhoods tested below the citywide average. The 4 communities that are above the citywide average include Allston-Brighton, Dorchester, Mattapan, and Roxbury. More than 85% of wastewater samples have been identified as the XBB variant, a subvariant of the Omicron strain that has become dominant across the region. Although the state is not reporting daily COVID-19 health trends anymore, the Mass DPH is still monitoring and reporting health trends on a weekly basis. On February 16th, newly released metrics show that over 66,000 molecular tests were conducted and 4,470 new positive cases were reported in the last week. As of February 14th, 173 people are hospitalized in Massachusetts and 60 are in the ICU. 102 new deaths were also reported in the last 7 days. The town of Braintree also continues to monitor COVID data from the state. The town hall hasn't reported any new positive cases in the last week. The town hall website currently shows a total of 11,539 positive cases since the start of the pandemic. There have been no new fatalities reported in 9 months, keeping Braintree's total deaths at 137. Thanks for watching Braintree Today. We'll be right back with more after the break.
If you're 50 or older, it's important to stay up to date on COVID vaccines. Boosters greatly reduce your chance of severe illness, hospitalization, and death, and are an important defense, even if you've already had COVID. Schedule your appointment today at mass.gov/COVID booster.
Welcome back. Now let's get right into some stories in Braintree. The Braintree Fire Department responded to a fire alarm at the Clean Harbors facility at 1 Hill Ave near the Weymouth Fore River last Thursday. Officials, including the town's hazmat officer, arrived on the scene and found an active fire in the loading dock area that required them to establish water supplies and set up several master stream operations surrounding the building. During the fire, residents of the area were asked to close their windows and stay in their homes. The fire was controlled by around 1 a.m. on Friday morning, and fire officials remained at the site to ensure no further risk to the property and surrounding area. Clean Harbors, the state hazmat team, and Coast Guard conducted air monitoring at the facility and the surrounding neighborhoods during the fire and again on Friday. Braintree Mayor Charles Kokoris in a statement said that the air quality was within normal parameters since the fire. An investigation into the cause of the fire is ongoing. A Braintree man is now facing 3 charges after officers said he pulled a police officer roughly 20 feet trying to flee a traffic stop last Tuesday. Holbrook police received a 911 call for an erratic operator that was seen pulling behind a business in Holbrook. After finding the vehicle, the driver was later identified as Matthew Connell of Braintree. Police said in a statement that, quote, Connell put his vehicle in drive and fled from the officers at a high rate of speed, pulling one officer approximately 20 feet before they were able to free themselves, end quote. Connell was later arrested by Braintree police and transferred back to Holbrook for booking. He is charged with operating a suspended driver's license, failure to stop for police, and assault and battery on a police officer with a dangerous weapon. Connell was held on $2,500 bail. Braintree Town Councilor Elizabeth Maglio has introduced a proposed ordinance aimed at reducing the rat population in Braintree. She says most of the complaints she gets from her constituents are about rats. The ordinance would require the health department to track locations of reported sightings of live rodents or evidence of a rodent. This plan would include humane solutions to decrease the rat population while limiting the toxic effects on other animals and people. Maglio suggests instead of setting traps to kill rats, we should be setting traps that dispense birth control for rats to reduce the population. She said this method is, quote, more effective than poisoning or trapping and is being used in cities and towns across the country and here in Massachusetts, end quote. Killing 1 or 2 rats does not decrease the population, but stopping their reproductive cycle does decrease the population. A new discovery of Native American artifacts has been found at the construction site of the new Tri-Town water treatment plant. Excavation work at the Great Pond site was halted at the request of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which had issued a permit for the project. Helen Gordon of Environmental Partners, which is overseeing the $122 million project for the Tri-Town, said other construction tasks are continuing. On January 23rd, Native American tools and a fire pit were discovered at the site of the treatment plant. Gordon said the engineers are working with 3 tribal groups and an archaeology consultant on how the project should go forward. The work stoppage should not delay the completion of the plant, which is scheduled for late 2025. Gordon said there are 120 extra days built into the construction schedule for contingencies like this. The excavation work is tentatively scheduled to resume March 14th. Braintree school officials are preparing backup plans for a possible delay in completing the new South Middle School. School Superintendent James Lee said the construction of the new middle school is on schedule, but the project is at the mercy of global supply issues. The installation of electrical switch equipment to supply power to the building is a major concern. Lee said a couple of months would be needed for renovations and asbestos abatement work on the current South building to prepare it for new use. Grade 5 classes from the Highlands and Liberty schools are scheduled to move into the new South Middle School in September. The backup plans include moving pre-K and kindergarten classes into the old South Middle School, along with the school administration offices. Special education classes would also be moved into the Liberty and Highlands schools. Lee said that if the opening of the new South Middle School is delayed, everyone can stay where they are. The school committee will hold a public forum on the recommendation on March 6th at the East Middle School. This meeting can be seen live on BCAM TV's government channels, Comcast Channel 8 and Verizon Channel 26, or you can watch it on our YouTube page at youtube.com/BCAMTV. Thank you for watching Braintree Today on BCAM TV. We'll be right back with more stories in the area.
Every home needs a basic emergency supply kit. It should meet the unique needs of the people who live there. Your kit doesn't have to cost a lot. You probably already have many of these supplies, and you can get others at a discount store. Visit mass.gov/beprepared.
Welcome back to Braintree Today. Now, here's more in local news. The City of Boston has announced a comprehensive plan to allow permanent outdoor dining across the city. This does not include on-street outdoor dining in the North End for at least this year because of the ongoing Sumner Tunnel closures and North Washington Street Bridge construction project. According to Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, the permanent program creates a predictable, streamlined process for business owners that will expedite application review and allow for annual renewals. Business owners will be able to apply via the online portal, which will be open starting on February 23rd. The website portal will allow businesses to submit their applications, track application progress, and renew their outdoor dining permits annually. All approved businesses participating in outdoor dining will be required to pay $399 per month if they have a liquor license, and $199 per month if they do not. South Shore schools were hit by hoax swatting calls in the last week. In each town, first responders treated the calls as a legitimate threat. In Duxbury, state police joined local forces to respond to a swatting call at the high school campus. Overall, more than 100 state and local police officers were involved in Duxbury. In Milton, police were at the high school for hours before they could determine the threat wasn't real. And in Cohasset, first responders did a sweep over every school in town before clearing the calls as a hoax. Duxbury Police Chief Michael Carbone said in a statement, quote, "It puts us in danger just getting there. I'm happy it ended this way, but it's more than a nuisance. I have guys going into a lockdown school where kids are terrified carrying rifles. It's traumatic," end quote. The owner of the natural gas compressor station on the banks of the Fore River has notified state officials that it will release natural gas for the next few weeks for performance maintenance on the pipeline. Enbridge, the Canadian-based energy company that built the station, notified the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection that the planned maintenance would take place during two 24-hour periods between Thursday, February 23rd and Tuesday, March 7th. Enbridge says the maintenance involves placing a cleaning tool and an inline inspection tool inside the pipeline. Since the tools are propelled through the pipeline by natural gas, the maintenance depends on certain flow and pressure conditions that are impacted by weather and demand. The company estimates that approximately 54,000 standard cubic feet of natural gas will get released during each 24-hour period. This has been reported to the state by the owners because they are required to notify the state of any expected release of natural gas exceeding 10,000 standard cubic feet. A Quincy resident has been indicted on federal hate crime charges after police say he yelled "Go back to China" at an Asian family before hitting a man with his car and pushing him into a ditch. 77-year-old John Sullivan has been accused of repeatedly yelling obscenities at the family and hitting a man of Asian descent with his car. This caused the man to be thrown into a nearby ditch right off of Washington Street in downtown Quincy. Sullivan was indicted by a federal grand jury on one count of violating the Shepherd-Bird Hate Crimes Prevention Act. Quincy City Councilor at Large Nina Liang said in a statement, quote, "I'm grateful, but I wish it was something I didn't have to be grateful for, because nobody wins in this situation. It's two very conflicting feelings and something I wish we weren't dealing with at all," end quote. Quincy's annual President's Day Winterfest took place on Monday, February 20th. As temps hit the 60s on Monday, attendees filtered through Quincy's Hancock Adams Common with friends and family. There were a number of shows for families to catch, including ice sculptures by Iceman Craig, who revealed a new sculpture that represented John Quincy Adams. Across the plaza, jolting Jonathan Brindle began his Mad Science show, which explained and demonstrated the properties of dry ice. To end off the night, families caught performances from No Static, a Steely Dan tribute band, and Brendan Ryan from NBC's The Voice. Thanks for watching Braintree Today. We'll be right back with more in entertainment.
Want a year of no-cost birth control with just one trip to the pharmacy? Access, a Massachusetts law, can make it easier. Get more control over your birth control. Find out if you're covered. Learn more at mass.gov/birthcontrol.
Welcome back to Braintree Today. February is Black History Month, so for today's entertainment segment, we have a few movies to educate and celebrate Black history. First in entertainment comes 13th, which focuses on filmmaker Ava DuVernay as she explores the history of racial inequality in the United States. The main focus of the film is on U.S. prisons and the fact that they are disproportionately filled with African Americans. The film is directed and produced by Ava DuVernay and can be watched now on Netflix. Next in entertainment, Aftershock focuses on the U.S. maternal health system and the many Black women that are failed by that system every year. The film follows the deaths of 2 young Black women from childbirth complications. Their grieving families get together to help put an end to the crisis. Aftershock is directed by Paula Islet and Tanya Lewis-Lee. You can watch Aftershock now on Hulu. And finally, in entertainment, Moonlight focuses on Chiron, a young man from Miami. The film takes the audience through 3 defining chapters in Chiron's life: his childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. Chiron's struggle with his sexuality and identity leads him on a journey of self-discovery. Moonlight is directed by Barry Jenkins and is the Academy Award winner for Best Picture. You can watch Moonlight on Hulu and Paramount+. That'll do it for news today. I'm Martha Konstandinidis, and thank you for watching Braintree Today on BCAM TV. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.